Hi everyone, it's Amy, and today in my kitchen, I'm making banana pudding cookies. That's right, I took that classic homemade flavor and we're putting it in cookies. These aren't just ordinary banana pudding cookies. These have 3 times the banana. They're loaded with fresh banana, banana pudding mix, and banana chips. And I've topped it all off with a whipped cream and Nilla wafers. They sound like a lot of work, but you're gonna love that these can be frozen with or without the whipped cream. So let's get started. First up, you're gonna need a cup of softened butter. So let's put that in our mixing bowl. To this, we're gonna add 3/4 cup of light brown sugar and a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. We're gonna mix this up for a couple minutes. Okay, this looks great. We're gonna scrape down the sides of the bowl before adding in the next ingredients. Okay, you're gonna need 1 mashed banana, which is about 1/2 cup. So we're gonna add that in. If you don't have fresh banana, you could use 2 eggs because this recipe doesn't call for eggs, but I love adding in that extra banana flavor. You're also gonna need a box of instant banana pudding mix. Make sure you get the instant. Oh dear. We don't want the box in there. Okay, and you're gonna add in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. You can measure it if you like to, but I like to just measure with my heart. There we go, that looks great. Okay, we're gonna beat this up for another minute or 2. Next up, we're adding in the dry ingredients. You need 2 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we're gonna blend this just until it's combined. You don't wanna overmix at this point. Once that dough starts coming together, you know you've gotten to the right spot, which is right there. Okay, we're gonna add in, let's make sure we don't lose any dough. We're gonna add in a whole bag of white chocolate chips and a cup of banana chips. And this bag is 5 ounces and it's about a cup. So we're just gonna toss the whole bag in. You don't need to break up the banana chips. They'll do it naturally as you blend it. Plus those whole banana chips soften a little bit in the cookie and you're gonna love the flavor and the texture. So let's get those added in and mix it up. It's a very thick batter. All right, that looks great. Since there's no eggs in this batter, you can go ahead and totally taste it if you'd like to. All right, let's bake these cookies. So you're gonna need a cookie sheet with a piece of parchment paper, and you definitely don't wanna skip on the parchment paper because when the banana chips start to caramelize a little bit, you don't want them to stick to the pan. So using parchment paper is so perfect for this. And I like to use a bigger cookie scoop. This one is about 3 tablespoons, almost even closer to a 1/4 cup. And that's because you want a nice solid cookie to put that whipped cream on. So this is a dessert, not a cookie, if that makes sense. So let's get a big scoop going. These will spread a little bit because they're 3 tablespoons worth of cookie dough, so make sure you leave a few inches between each cookie. And now normally when I bake cookies, I like to get all fancy and put some extra white chocolate chips on the top or whatever. With these, you don't have to because it's all gonna be covered with the whipped cream, so don't worry about it. All right, these are gonna go in your preheated oven at 350 degrees, and you're gonna bake them for about 15 minutes. You do not wanna underbake these cookies because once you put that whipped cream on, they're gonna soften a little bit, so make sure you get them baked all the way, and 15 minutes seems to do just fine. I'll be right back. All right, these look amazing. I've let them cool on the pan so they're fully set, and we're gonna get started on that whipped cream frosting. Okay, let's get the whipped cream for these cookies made. To a clean and very dry mixing bowl, you're gonna need your whisk attachment, and you're gonna add in 2 cups of cold heavy whipping cream. We're gonna add in 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. And the reason we're doing cream cheese in this whipping cream is to give it a little bit more stability on these cookies. We're also gonna add in 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. And now you're gonna let this mix for several minutes until it gets nice and firm. You may have to scrape down the sides of the bowl a few times just to make sure it's all incorporated. Start slow. Okay, you can see that the whipped cream has really firmed up into some nice stiff peaks here. And now we're gonna pipe this onto our cookies. To do that, I put a piping bag that you can put frosting in. I've got a big star tip, and we're gonna put the whipped cream into the bag. You could use a Ziploc bag if you don't have these kind of bags, and just snip off the edge. You won't get the pretty, I guess, decoration on it, but it'll still work and it'll still taste delicious, and that's what's important. This recipe makes anywhere from 24 to 30 cookies, so you'll have plenty of whipped cream to be a little generous. And that whipped cream is gonna be what makes it taste like banana pudding. Okay. All right, let's get piping. And I've also got some Nilla wafer cookies here, and these are gonna get sprinkled on the whipped cream when we're done. Perfect. And now I just take the cookies and I crush them a little bit over the top. You want some big pieces and some little pieces. I'm ready to take a bite of these cookies here. So I'm just gonna go in and do it. Enjoy.